Welcome back to Church Chats. We're here again with Matt, Britt. Thanks again for being with us.
Yeah.
This is our last little section that we're going to have some fun and talk about some of our shared interests. We already talked about youth ministry and as a vocation, but now I want to talk about when we first met, which was in January of 2020, I think.
Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
I started back here leading the gathering or being a part of the gathering band. I guess it must have been in February of 2020. And so that's kind of when I had said I kind of gravitated towards you and Kat because, youth ministry. And so, but
we're fun.
And you're fun. Yeah, exactly. Youth ministry is fun. You never really grow out of it. And that's, sorry, I'm just going all on. Yeah, but I can't wait for VBS because that's when my full youth minister comes back out because we lead the VBS music.
A very specific brand of youth minister.
Yeah.
Like the bandanas are not really a thing anymore, but you still
Thanks, yeah.
You still have committed to that bit. But I'll give you the chacos and stuff. That's
Yeah.
very
Chacos
much the
or
thing.
Tiva. Actually, I think I wore Tivas.
Oh yeah, I'm a Tevas guy too. But
Yeah, Tivas, Birkenstocks.
I don't do many Birks, but the Patagonia baggy shorts.
Sure.
Yeah, they're great.
Oh yeah.
I live in them all summer.
Yeah, there's something about, and that's like, again, hats. I like wearing hats to work. Like, that's part of it. I used to work at THR, which is corporate, and you got to wear, like, your slacks and your dress shoes and your tie sometimes, and I wasn't all about that.
I mean, this is me dressed up for a video podcast in which I actually put on jeans over the summer. Like, that's...
it's big.
That's big.
Yeah.
I like this is important.
Too. Do good.
Do good. Cotopaxi. Not sponsored.
We don't have any sponsors yet, Matt.
Hit us up, though.
Come on.
Yeah.
It'll all go to the First Street Methodist Mission or somewhere.
Yeah, sounds great. Or give it to me. I'll spend it on something.
Sure. Yeah. The youth ministry, depending on the podcast,
Yeah.
whatever ministry area that person decides to donate to. So anyway, we met in 2020 when Taylor and I first started coming back here, back home to First Fort Worth. That's we considered it our home. But we started playing in the band together during COVID.
Yeah.
March
2020.
Let's talk about March 2020 and what worship was like. I think there were.
Yeah.
What was interesting about that is whether it was in Wesley Hall, because it started in Wesley Hall, and then eventually when we realized that this is long term, like we're going to be doing this, we moved it to the sanctuary. There's better camera equipment in there. And everything. And so we moved it in there. Well, it was surreal.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and like, I think first COVID Sunday, like we had decided church isn't going to be open. We're not, like, people are going to stay home. We're going to try and figure out some sort of live streaming setup. I think that first Sunday was you and me on guitar and cajon.
Yep,
on the Wesley Hall stage.
Yep.
And then, like, from there, we were just piecing it together. Like, how can we do this with a band? How do we space out? We were talking about this before. There's, like, pictures somewhere of, I'm sure Allie will throw on screen, like, of us in Wesley Hall all spread out. You can see all the camera equipment behind us and, like, stages where we're recording things. And, like, it was a weird time.
It's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking how it wasn't that I felt lucky, but I'd go home and Taylor hadn't left the house in like a month. Like, you remember, like, nobody left their home and we were wiping off our groceries that were delivered.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't leave our home for months. And I just remember thinking, I'm so lucky that I get to leave my house
Twice a week, once for practice, once Sunday morning.
twice a week, and the practice, like, we sometimes go 3 hours because it's like human interaction. This is fantastic. There's people here, but
it's not your kids.
It's not my kids. Goodness gracious. Yeah, talk about. And oh my gosh, and both of us. I was working at THR, and for a hospital system, it was like we had so much communication. I did the social media portion for THR for a few years and during COVID, And it was like our work went up. And, you know, it went from, you know, normal 45, 50-hour work week to like, I mean, we are on calls at 7 a.m., calls at 8 p.m., like what are the new COVID guidelines, all of that. And so, yeah, I was like, I get to go up to church and see people and worship and
make loud noises. And
yeah, I mean, bang on drums if I want to. I mean, it was awesome. I just remember feeling so grateful for it, but also I'd go home and Taylor, who, you know, we've been singing together for 20 years or however long it's been now, she's like, I want to do that. But like she couldn't. Like we were limiting it. Like it was you. At one point, I feel like, at least in Wesley Hall or the Sanctuary, there were like 6 of us in there. I remember being in the Sanctuary. It was like you and Kat, because y'all had parts in the worship service, whether it's, you know, speaking roles, call to worship, or you were playing guitar, and me, Lance, Mark, and Austin, or were you up here at all? You weren't.
I was in the studio.
Okay, you were up in the studio.
Yeah,
okay.
I was recording everything.
But it was just such a weird time. But honestly, I feel like that's where we really bonded and got to know each other. And along with the band, as we eventually got to bring more people in, which was great. We eventually got to the point where we had like 6 core band members that were there all the time. And so for that full year, we really got good, like chemistry wise, as a band and getting to know one another. What was your experience? And you played with us every single week. I mean,
just about,
just about every week. What was your experience like with the Gathering Band during COVID? Like, what were your memories there?
I mean, I think surreal's a good word for it. I remember that first Easter, like we had finished the first set of songs, and then we were still in Wesley Hall at the time. I remember just like sitting on the floor against the wall next to the kitchen, just being like, man, I really can't believe this is what we're doing right now. So surreal's a good word for it. The move into the Sanctuary was kind of weird because for everybody else, it looks like relatively like a Sunday morning. You're looking up at the stage and people are up there doing the thing. But like for us, we're sitting up there and it's just empty.
Yeah.
Like it's a 1,200 seat sanctuary and it is empty. And it's, you know, the band plus 3 or 4 other staff members, depending on who's in the service. And that was it. So it was pretty weird. It felt empty. Like it felt pretty hollow.
Right.
I remember being really grateful to be here and still getting to do stuff. But man, by the end of Sunday mornings, you left feeling pretty drained because it's just like, man, I just wish there were people here. I wish we could do more. I wish this or that or whatever. But, you know, we're all just trying to make the best decisions to keep people safe.
Right.
And, but like, I think this is probably true for a lot of people, especially in that band. Like we really got to build something kind of cool. Because before then, like the Gathering Band was around and some of the people that were part of that COVID iteration of the Gathering Band had been involved for a long time before that. Lance and Dave and Tim and but like that group of us that got to play music together every week, got to rehearse for a few hours every week, got to come in and set up and play live music together all the time. I mean, it was probably, I don't know, around the time, I think when we moved into the Sanctuary, it really started to feel like this band is cementing in a way that's really cool. And like, we would come in for practice or whatever, and we would be playing a new song, and without really having run it before, I kind of knew what Lance was going to do on drums. I kind of knew what parts Tim was going to play. When Rick started coming around and was playing electric, he and I built a really cool dynamic where like, I kind of knew what parts he was going to go for and kind of knew where I should sit. And so, you know, before too long, it felt like, okay, this is an actual like band. It feels like we know each other. We know how we play together. We know what this band sounds like. And then from there, got to really kind of build off of that. And it was cool. It was fun. It was honestly a thing that like I had a hard time letting go of. You know,
We had a hard time letting go of you too.
Man, I miss it. Alex misses it less because I buy less gear.
You buy less gear. That's good.
I have less of an excuse. I'm not playing it all the time.
That's true.
But Yeah, I had a hard time letting go of it, and my job requires a lot on Sunday mornings, and so I still pop over when I can, when there's gaps in our schedule or whatever. Claire and Evan and Rebecca are more than capable; they got it, and so on some weeks I'll come over and fill in if you're out on vacation or just on a like, oh great, we're doing a Sunday morning. It's Christmas. We've got brass. We need an extra fill part here.
Oh, yeah.
Great. I'll come play pads or whatever.
Man, and playing with the brass is so much
fun.
fun.
Oh, it's so fun.
Oh, I wish we could do that every week. It's too expensive. But
it's too expensive.
It's
but
awesome.
given the choice between brass and strings, I would probably actually go strings.
Oh, yeah.
I like strings more.
Yeah. There was one song, I forget. I think it was Graves into Gardens, which Austin gives me such a hard time. He's like, gosh, are we going to do Graves into Garden again?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a great song, especially on Easter.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we had brass that I don't know if it was last Easter or what, but we did that song again. We did it 2 Easters in a row.
Yeah, we'll do it again next year.
We totally will.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But the brass had such a cool part that is not in any regular song, but on praise charts and song select, they've got scores that people write parts for brass for this stuff. And I just remember the practice going, whoa, that was awesome.
Yeah.
It was so much fun to play with them.
And those musicians are so talented.
They're actual musicians.
They're actual musicians. These are people that make a living out of this versus us who pretend to. Yeah.
Sing our songs and play our
4 chord loops.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about gear a little bit, because you and I both have a problem. I think you have a worse problem than I do, but maybe not. I don't know. We can judge here. First of all, you take great Instagram photos of your guitars.
So this was a pandemic thing that I just needed some sort of creative outlet.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so I started because I was on gear Instagram side of things already and seeing stuff that other people post, and I was just this was really before you were that into gear. You had a couple of guitars and you were like, oh, this is my gear. I maybe have a tuner pedal.
That's all I had. I think.
And so I didn't have people around. Kat wasn't interested in listening to me talk about this. She did. She listened to me talk about this stuff for hours. God bless her. But, there weren't other people around that wanted to, and so wanted other people that I could talk to about it. And so started taking some shots of gear and pedals and guitars and whatever. And, honestly, just a pandemic creative outlet. I just needed something that was okay, I'm doing this thing. I had a bit of a problem with retail therapy during the pandemic. I needed the next thing to look forward to showing up in the mail. Mm-hmm. And so I had new stuff coming in all the time. And it's oh, look at this new thing that I have.
Alex is where are you?
Yeah, we didn't have a kid yet. And so we had disposable income.
Oh yeah, that goes away.
Yeah, it does.
Well, see, so I had the retail therapy too,
but
mine was graded basketball cards.
Yeah, I remember you talking about this.
It was bad. I went down this really bad rabbit hole of buying really, really nice cards.
Yeah, at least my stuff's useful.
Hey. Well, that's the thing. So I had at one point I had this case, and this is the middle of the pandemic. I bought a case for it, hung it on the wall. I had 20 graded cards.
Okay.
And Taylor one day was this is becoming a problem. And so I remember looking at it, and she was let's look at how much this is costing. I'm yeah, but I feel sad. And so I bought these things. I'm an Enneagram 7. I'm feeling sad, and so I need something to that next thing.
Yeah.
And so we had a talk, and she was you're selling all of these. I'm okay, you're right. And so I sold all of them, and I broke even. I didn't make money, I didn't lose money, but I broke even. But
that's still a good hobby. A hobby that you break even on is a good hobby.
But it still took up so much of my time. But I go back to, it was the pandemic. We were all sad. You needed that.
Sitting in the house, you just needed something.
Somebody to knock on my door and go, oh, look, I got something.
This new thing.
And you did that with pedals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a little bit guitars, but
the guitars, and then we've got photos of your pedals too. You've got some great looking guitars too.
I do.
Tell me about that one.
So this is a Swope MG made by a guy named Chris Swope out of I think Kansas City. it's kind of a telly style guitar, but he hand winds all of his pickups, and so they're his kind of custom design. It's like it is a single coil, so it's a single coil of wire around a magnet. But these are wound more like a jazz master, and so instead of it being like deep like a telly or a Strat pickup, it's like a little bit shallower and much wider, and so you get a different like magnetic field that it produces, and so it gives you this kind of bigger sound because it's picking up more of that string vibration.
Gotcha.
And so it's really great. It's all of the guitars I have now are great, which makes it very hard to let go of any of them, even though they're all much nicer instruments than I am a player. So at some point, it's just part of it. So yeah, it's really great. This is a Grez Guitars Mendocino. I don't know. It's a single pickup, kind of like Les Paul Jr. style guitar. It's great. I think you could do just about anything you needed to with a single P90 pickup. They're by far the best, even though this is the only one I've got right now with it. And then I think the last one I've got up there, this was a thing. This was a middle of a pandemic thing.
It's framed very nicely for Instagram.
It is
like you thought about this.
I did.
Yeah.
I did spend a lot of time on this. There's other versions of this photo that don't look as nice.
Go to Matt's Instagram account. You can see all of it.
Don't do that. There's nothing on there currently. It hasn't been posted on in so long. So this is a company called Abernathy Guitars, made by Justin Abernathy out of California. And it was a fully custom build. So I got to work with Justin to spec out the whole guitar, pickups, wiring, color, build, wood, the whole thing. So it's pretty special. It's, if I had to get rid of everything else and could only keep one, this is probably the one.
That'd be the one.
And it was the one that Alex knew about before I bought it. So it was one that she actually signed off on, and which, is helpful. So
I recently purchased a, this is my new baby. I love it. It's a J45 Gibson Custom Shop. It's all Koa. It's a Koa wood guitar. I love Koa. I've had a Taylor Koa in the past. Here's the thing, like, you own all these guitars. I only own one or two at a time. I just flip them.
Swap them in and out.
Yeah. I'd sell this one so I can buy the next one. And I did that with a Taylor that I recently sold. Gosh, it's bad. But I sold my Taylor because that the Abernathy has the slotted neck.
The slotted headstock.
The headstock. The slotted neck. Can't have a slotted neck, but the slotted headstock. Yeah, I guess. Anyway,
weird.
Yeah. So the slotted headstock was one of the things that just drew me into that Taylor. It was a Taylor 812 12 fret, and the 12 frets have the slotted headstock. Yeah. I hated that guitar. After I played it for a while, it was so tinny. If you had to change a string, it is a pain in the butt to change slotted headstock strings. It's horrible.
It's a whole thing. The Abernathy probably needs a string change, and I just am not.
You don't want to take 2 hours out of your day. It won't take you that long. But.
No. I mean, it might. I don't change strings as often as I should, so I'm not very good at it. So.
Man, it's. Anyway.
No, it looks great, but it's kind of a pain to change.
Well, and I got rid of that Taylor 812, but I found this at Guitar Center when I was just going for some strings and picks. And
this is tell yourself.
Well, yeah, this is the first guitar. It is what I tell myself. I'm just gonna go. Oh, let me peek in the acoustic room. And some dad bought his two girls Gibson Custom Shop guitars. One was Koa wood. One was like just a standard J45. But and there were two of them in there. He bought those for them when they were like 10. When they turned 18, they never played them. These sat in a closet in the case for 10 years.
Man.
So it's a Koa wood guitar, and Koa, one of the things about Koa is as it ages, it gets better. And so I'm going, okay, you've got a Koa wood guitar that's been sitting in a case and it's 10 years old. Like, I've got 10 years, and this is the first guitar that I bought without telling my significant other. I just bought it, and I came home. I think I waited a day, and then I told her.
I'm surprised you didn't wait 30 days past the return window.
Oh, I didn't think about that. 'Cause she could have said, "You're selling all these guitars," like she did with the basketball cards.
Yeah.
I say, yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
like I said, they're more useful than cards are.
Yeah,
you use this every Sunday.
I use this every single Sunday. So, but I just love the sound of it, and
Oh yeah, it's great. It's a special guitar.
Yes, and that's one of the things I had posted on Instagram about it, because you and I both like to frame our photos nicely with the guitars.
I mean, yeah, but like you should have moved that mic stand. You got the shadow in there, right through the middle of the burst.
That's a good point.
Pull a better backdrop for it.
You don't like the Sanctuary choir chair?
I've never liked the Sanctuary choir chairs.
That's for another
Sorry,
podcast.
interiors.
That's for another podcast. But yeah, this is, I call it my heirloom guitar that someday I'll give my kids, and I'm thinking that they'll do the same thing that the girls did with this, and when they turn 18, they're going to sell it.
Probably. I'm going to pay for a good chunk of college, so.
Good chunk. College? You know how much college costs? That guitar's not that expensive. I mean, it's
No.
expensive, but it's not that expensive.
No, that one's a special one. When you first bought it and brought it to something, staff meeting maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
Something.
Like, look, guys.
Well, you were like using it for something, and I picked it up and played it. Maybe it was a Sunday morning. I was like, oh, this has got a thing. This has got a vibe to it. So.
I love it. So, but yeah, we can continue to be our support group for.
Yeah.
I gotta have some therapy.
Having a kid really cuts the amount of money that you can spend on everything. So a lot of my stuff's made its way out the door at this point.
Yeah.
But I still have so I've got a pedal board and then a second pedal board. And then I have 2 shelves that are full of pedals still. And like at this point, they're just an art installation.
That's like thousands of dollars worth of pedals, isn't it?
I mean, I like it more than a painting. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah, they're fun colors.
I like it.
That's at
Well,
least what I tell myself.
it's all, you have to. Well, thank you, Matt, for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I really appreciate you and what you bring to the youth ministry of this church. I really hope my kids have you as a youth minister, so stick around, please.
That's so long, Clint.
That's
so long.
My oldest is 8. She's going into 3rd grade. So
No, stop.
She's going into 3rd grade, so 3 years from now. So
how is she already going to
She's going to go through confirmation. I know, it's nuts.
Okay.
So,
okay, maybe not as long as I thought it was, but.
So at least through graduation, okay?
Maybe for Lola.
Okay, yeah.
We'll see about the other ones. No, I appreciate being here. I'm sure it won't be the last.
No, yeah, we'll do it again. Again. This was fun. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see y'all at the next church chat.